Hi everyone, it's Tom with the LEC preview of this week as we're heading into week 3 of the LEC Spring Split. We're already almost at 1/3 of the regular split, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. But let's take a look at the matches that are gonna be played and do some predictions as usual. The first match is going to be Misfits Gaming versus XL Esports, and obviously Misfits Gaming had an 0-2 weekend last weekend, a bit rough for them, whereas XL finished the weekend on a win, which is good for them. Still, overall, I think that Misfits Gaming has an advantage here. If you look at their bot lane, where you have Kobe and Vander, who have both been performing very well overall. And in XL, you have Patrick, who is an outstanding AD carry, but Torre has been running it down quite a bit, except for the game against Astralis, which they finished with last week. Then if you look in the mid lane, you have Chocolat, very talented mid laner. I think actually they have an advantage there, XL, over Veteo, who, aside from his Zoe, has not shown a lot of outstanding play. Taking a look at the jungle, I think Resork, even though he did run it down a bit last week, especially in the last game, he really ran it down. Overall, just a more capable jungler, or a more proven jungler than Dan so far. And in the top lane, you have Riot, who has been very good. Kreis did show up last week, but yeah, I think that's about even there. I think, though, that as a whole, as a team, I think Misfits Gaming is more in line with what they want to do in the game. So that's why I'm giving them the edge there. Then we have SK Gaming versus Mad Lions. Mad Lions obviously went 2-0 in the second week, and which is a good morale boost for them, especially the game against Fnatic, which wasn't a very great game, as I discussed in my LEC recap, which I'll link above. But yeah, it's still probably going to be Mad Lions who win this. If you look at how they've developed overall, I think SK Gaming has shown small steps of progress. Obviously, the game against Misfits, they really showed that when the enemy makes mistakes, they really know how to capitalize on those and know how to play proactively. But overall, I think there's the raw talent, and how developed Mad Lions is going to give them the win here. The third match is G2 Esports versus Vitality. G2 did suffer a loss last week, but it was a classic G2 game, I think. I think you absolutely should not read too much into it. G2 likes to use the regular split as sort of training grounds where they experiment with drafts, experiment with playstyles, experiment how they approach the game. And that cost them the game against Shogun of Fear. Vitality has overall looked incredibly poor. No real sense of team there. In the laning phase, they even run it down sometimes, which is a shame. But I expect heading into this weekend, G2, especially with their match against Fnatic, which we'll talk about later, coming up, will be fully focused and will not allow themselves to make any mistakes. So I think that's going to be an easy win for them. The fourth match of the day is Shogun of Fear versus Rogue. Interesting match, obviously, because Rogue has looked very strong so far. Maybe the only member that needs more tweaking is Trimby, who's getting covered a lot by the team for his mistakes. But still, overall, an incredibly good team if you look at their macro. And Shogun of Fear obviously beat G2 last weekend, so they are riding that high still. And they look to take down another leader on the scoreboard. I have to say, though, that given the trend so far, it's hard not to favor Rogue here. I think while individually Shogun of Fear, in the bot lane could maybe get close, and in the top lane as well, Broken Blade versus Odoamne, I think both players are pretty good and have been performing, Odoamne has been performing really well. I think Broken Blade's been performing okay. In the bot lane, I think that Rogue with Hansama is just outstanding. In the mid lane, Larsen is undeniably better than Abadaga. In the jungle, Inspired is undeniably better than Gilius, especially so far in the split. And yeah, I do think that Rogue is going to win this. They've so far known how to tackle every problem presented to them, and I think that they will be able to do so as well against Shogun of Fear. Final match is Astralis versus Fnatic. A bit of tongue-in-cheek, obviously, to say that Astralis is favored to, is going to win this or has a chance after Fnatic's poor start to the split. But Fnatic has bounced back pretty well. I think the loss against Mad Lions last week really hurt them. You could really see how frustrated they were throughout the match as well, picking fights they shouldn't need to. But against Astralis has looked really poor overall. Made some improvements compared to week 1, but I do not think that they are going to be able to withstand the fury of Fnatic, especially the same reason why I think G2 is going to be so dominant against Vitality. I think Fnatic's going to be dominant against Astralis because they're fully focused on showing up in top shape, and they will use the weaker opponents as sort of a punching bag to warm up for the match. On day 2, which we'll get to now, and we'll start the weekend with Misfits Gaming versus Schalke 04. I think this is going to be a very close and very interesting match. Depends a lot for me on how the junglers will perform. Obviously, that is something that just in general in the meta is now very important. The jungle is probably the most important position in the meta in the game at the moment. But in Misfits Gaming, you have Resorg, who can, when he does well, play that carry role super well. And when he's in that zone, can lead his team and help them out. But yeah, we have to say that he has not been consistent in this. Whereas in Schalke 04, I think they as a team have not been consistent. Whereas individually, they've been pretty okay overall. I do think that in the end, I will give the edge to Schalke 04 based on their veteranship and based on how they are progressing as a team. I will give them a slight edge. I think this is going to be a very close match though. If I look at the other matches of the day, I think one of the closest matches. Then we get to the second day. Second match. XL versus SK Gaming. Bottom dweller match, definitely at the moment. I think SK Gaming will win this, and that's mostly because I think XL has no idea how to approach the late game, whereas we see SK Gaming a bit more versatile with how they approach the game as well, and a bit more confident as a team overall. So I think SK Gaming will win this based on mostly knowing how to seize moments better when they are presented to them. But I do think that both of these teams in this match will struggle a bit towards the late game. And the late game can, unless it's a snowball match, of course, which SK Gaming showed against Misfits, but it can be a bit boring in the end game if both teams are gonna avoid each other. Then we get to Mad Lions versus Team Vitality as the third match of the day. And yeah, it won't surprise you that I think Mad Lions is favored here. Vitality, again, very poor showing so far. Mad Lions, just overall as a better team, better individual players by far. I think especially the biggest difference is going to be in the support role. You have Kaiser, who have played absolutely phenomenally, especially in the match against Fnatic for great engages, and Vitality you have Labrov, who has maybe together with Torre been the worst support of all. And Promiscu is down there as well on Astralis, but those three have definitely been the worst support players so far in the split. And yeah, overall in individual quality, you're going to have to give this to Mad Lions. Then we go to Rogue versus Astralis. Another pretty easy prediction. I think Rogue will easily win this. Individually, in every role, they are better than Astralis is. And on a team basis, Rogue is maybe the best coordinated team in the whole league at the moment. So yeah, Rogue is probably easily going to win this. Not much to discuss there. And then we get to the match of the week. It's Kings, Dynasties, blah, 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 blah. Quickshot will probably repeat this 100 times on the broadcast, but Fnatic versus G2. Yeah, what is there to say about these teams? I think Fnatic, in the beginning of the split, was definitely a bit lost in how they wanted to approach the game. They didn't know how to properly be aggressive, whereas G2 was looking far more tuned. They were still playing around and trolling a bit and trying to see how much they could get away with. But you could see that when it mattered, they could definitely put the pedal to the metal, as it says, and accelerate and get back in the game and get the win that way. Obviously, they got too far behind in Schalke, in the game against Schalke. Their draft also didn't really allow them for super strong comebacks, even though they get 3 Drakes like back-to-back towards the end, almost getting Dragon Soul when Schalke had the first 3 Drakes. I still think that G2 is at the moment a far more comfortable team. Individually speaking, Whippo played very well, I think, last week especially. Selfmade has not been that great. And then you have Niski, who I think looked very good on the Aurelia, and I think at least surprised me with how good he still is on this. And in the bot lane, you have Upset and Hylissang. Hylissang has obviously had a lot of int moments. Has definitely been more of an inter at the moment than that outstanding support player that we saw at Worlds. And Upset, I think he's been pretty consistent overall. But as I said, as a team, I think Fnatic really has needed more time to find their right tune than G2. If you look at G2, you have Wunder in the top lane, who has been overall just outstanding. No real complaints there. You have Jankos in the jungle, who has been proving that he can absolutely play carries in this meta. Caps is actually one of the players who only showed up one game against Schalke 04. I think that was his best game so far. If you look at how much impact he had on the game overall, but still a very solid player, obviously. Bot lane, I mean, Mickey X has had one game where he ran it down against Schalke 04. Other games he has been on that World's level, in my opinion. He's been very good, and Reckless has, though he did get a lot of help, obviously, from his team setting up the kills, but yeah, also in the Schalke game ran it down a bit. I really think he is in a great shape and will be more hungry to win than ever, especially against Fnatic, obviously. So in the end, I do think G2 is going to win this. I think one of the hindrances that could face G2 is actually their draft. I know it's a meme, but they've had different opinions within the team on how to draft and what to play as. And if they do not figure this out well enough against Fnatic, then perhaps Fnatic could seize that opportunity to get the win there. But overall, I do expect G2 to win this. And I actually do not think it's going to be very close. If I look at the matches overall of the day, I think Excel versus SK and Misfits versus Schalke 04 will probably be closer than G2 versus Fnatic. Just because, as I said, and I'll say it again, G2 is overall more in line as a team and has figured out how they want to play better than Fnatic. So those are my predictions for the LEC in this week. Let me know in the comments below what you think your predictions are, which matches you are looking forward to. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel a lot, so I can keep doing this. And I'll see you all on Sunday for the LEC recap.